For over 15 years, Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated has been a beacon of light, guiding local families through difficult times. Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated proudly provides all families with compassionate choices for professional funeral care at reasonable prices. Get the answers you need 24 hours a day. No answering services, hidden costs, add-on fees, confusing fine print, or those scary-looking contracts. Remember, Gallup Funeral Services owns and operates the only crematory in Dare County, keeping our cremations affordable and convenient. Gallup Memorial Chapel in Bargo, North Carolina is now open and minutes from Moyock and Elizabeth City. From traditional church services and graveside burials to direct cremations and advanced planning, let Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated light the way for your family. Don't be pressured or confused by the other funeral homes. It's always your choice. Choose Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated. Call Courtney at 252-216-8030 to get a plan started today and visit our new website at gallupfuneralservices.com.
Left for Christmas shopping, 5 days left to fill the stocking. 5 days left for Christmas shopping, only got 5 days more.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 shopping days till Christmas. Don't say we didn't warn you.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
News team, assemble!
Joining us live because if you want to know anything about the Outer Banks, Sam Walker's the dude to fill you in.
The sea was angry that day, my friends. Like an old man trying to send back soup in a deli.
Always appreciate talking to you.
Always good stuff with Sam Walker in the Outer Banks.
Now here's Les Nessman and the news.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to OBX Today Live for December 20th, 2021, last day of fall. Glad to have you along with us, presented by Gallup Funeral Services on Facebook Live, on the OBX Today Facebook page, and Sam Walker OBX YouTube channel. Make sure you mash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to know whenever we go live. And we'll be on with you today through Thursday. Friday off. Yay. Coming up on the show, we've got all your latest headlines. Looking at a little bit of wet stuff coming in Thursday or Tuesday. Tomorrow and Wednesday are forecast from the OBX Day Weather Center. And kind of an interesting weather situation developing. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Although it doesn't look like it's just going to be a rainmaker for us, but still, I mean, if the thing was a little bit farther north or we had a little bit colder air. Well, actually, no. If it wasn't farther north, if we had some colder air coming in, it might get really interesting. But we should be okay as far as, going into the holiday, not having to worry about some big storm or something like that. But the dynamics are kind of there. It's kind of interesting may not be the best way to put it, but anyway, that's what we're talking. All right, in the headlines this morning, we do have new details. We actually got them on late Friday and had the story first for you at obxtoday.com about the Mid-Craitup Bridge situation. We did get a reply back regarding the lawsuit that's been filed over that proposed Mid-Craitup Bridge. The group representing a conservation organization and local opponents say they plan to appeal this week's ruling by a federal judge on their suit seeking to block construction of the span between Corolla and Idlet over Craituck Sound. Kim Hunter, senior attorney at the Southern Environmental Law Center, which is representing the North Carolina Wildlife Federation, and no Mid-Craitup Bridge, concerned citizens and visitors opposed to Mid-Craitup Bridge, said the Mid-Craitup Bridge continues to be a poorly thought-out project that will waste taxpayer money while providing little long-term benefit. Filed in April 2019, the lawsuit challenges the North Carolina Department of Transportation and Federal Highway Administration environmental analysis and decision document. The toll facility would cross 7 miles of open water and swampland between Idlet and Corolla, linking US 158 and Highway 12. North Carolina Turnpike Authority officials, which oversee all toll projects in the state, have said as recently as May that it would likely be 2023 before any work could begin. We're now seeing more like 2024, as they still have a lot of things that have to be done, although they do have a timeline that they've put out that next year they'd start the right-of-way acquisition on the mainland side They've already got the right-of-way acquired on the Corolla side, did that back in 2015. Ncdot Division Engineer Sterling Baker said in a letter Thursday to state and local leaders that U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of North Carolina decided in favor of the defendants, ruling that Ncdot and FHWA complied with applicable federal laws and regulations. The project team is evaluating the schedule and working on next steps to move forward. And the next day, we got that reply that there would be an appeal filed. To date, Kim Hunter from Selk said to date, Ncdot has presented no financial plan to pay for the project, presented no estimate as to how expensive tolls will be, and failed to explain how the bridge will continue to pay for itself once roads in the Outer Banks become increasingly inundated by sea level rise. The groups filed their lawsuit under the National Environmental Policy Act, arguing state and federal transportation agencies have failed to consider less damaging and less expensive alternatives. Those include widening Highway 12 through Southern Shores and Duck to 3 lanes, traffic circles instead of stoplights, and building a flyover interchange with US 158 in Kitty Hawk. The suit claimed there's been no public input on the proposal since 2012, and the Federal Highway Administration's approval of the project in 2018 was based on data that's more than 7 years old, and the tolls would have to top $50 during peak season to pay for the project. Previous statements from Selk claimed the cost would be above $500 million. A lawsuit said $600 million when it was filed more than 2 years ago. Turnpike Authority officials said last spring they still estimate the cost to come in under $500 million. Kim Hunter from Selk wrapped up her statements to us on Friday, saying the bridge is at odds with both the Cooper and Biden administrations' stated focus on resilient infrastructure that considers science. We hope the two administrations will take the time to rethink this outdated bad idea. In the meantime, we'll continue to contest the project in court, starting with an appeal of the district court's opinion. So that appeal will go to the Fourth Circuit, which is in Richmond. So we're looking at probably another 6 months, at least, before anything is decided regarding that lawsuit and whether or not the Mid-Cratop Bridge will move forward. Now, there's some new reports out over the weekend that, again, that Ncdot, or rather the Turnpike Authority, is thinking probably 2023 by the time they could wrap up right-of-way acquisition. That would mean construction probably wouldn't start until 2024. The way that the project would be financed is a portion would come from state funds to get started. The rest of it would be funded through bonds and a private company or private issued bonds. That's what the North Carolina Turnpike Authority is. And then they would use the tolls to pay that bonds, lending back to get the bridge constructed. But again, a lot of questions there. Nothing's going to happen in the next year probably, other than possibly seeing some movement on right-of-way acquisition. But with this court case still pending, that's probably going to get pushed back as well. It's OBX Today Live here on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Sam Walker. Glad to have you along with us on this Monday morning. Well, if you travel 158 any time of year, it's going to happen to you at some point. Middle of the night, early in the morning. Happens to us all the time driving to the radio stations when we got to go in early. You're going to catch a red light in the morning or late at night, and there's not a thing coming from any of the side streets. Or you're trying to get out on Croatan Highway, and it takes forever to get a green light. Well, the Ncdot says have a little patience. They're working on it. Now, during the December 1st Nags Head Board of Commissioners meeting, Town Public Services Director Eric Clausen briefed the Town Board of Commissioners about signal timing. And here's what he had to say about the issue earlier this month.
At the last board meeting, there was question about the signal timing on US 158 from the side streets. So we had talked to Ncdot on that particular matter. They are running. I do have some background in traffic signals. They are running more up to date, both hardware and software. It's pretty advanced from an industry standard. So they have good equipment out there. They're looking for an update to their central software, which is basically what controls all the controllers along 158. Once they have that installed, they're going to be able to do some additional things. So they basically have installed a traffic responsive system So basically what it's looking at is you can set different cycle lengths by the time of day on a particular roadway, just as traffic volumes fluctuate. Traffic responsive system looks at taking those plans and modifying them over the course of time based upon the traffic volumes that they're seeing out there with the detection system that they have in place. So the limitation that they have right now is the entire town is on the same traffic responsive system. So anything that's needed on the more heavily populated area up to the north is also being reflected down south. With the new system, once they do that implementation, they're going to be able to break the system up into multiple parts. So it's not going to, heavier traffic during the morning hours or whatever is not going to necessarily dictate what we see on the side streets farther to the south. So again, that's a project that they're working on. As we continue to work with them, we'll continue to ask for updates, but I know it's not necessarily a solution, immediate solution, but that is what's going on with that particular system. It's responding to the traffic volumes at the more heavily traveled intersections in the morning hours.
Well, I mean, that's helpful to know because, and the differentiation between the way the system works now and the way they're proposing, because when the answer in the past, and admittedly, I've only heard or read parts of answers perhaps, but I always thought they had a computer that was doing what they're getting ready to do. I mean, that's always been my impression, and that it wasn't working. And it clearly wasn't working. So it's good to know that they're finally going to do something that really looks at the traffic in real time and addresses that.
And I believe with the comments that were made that was something that was going to happen in the spring of this upcoming year. So it's on the radar and happening relatively quickly. That was the last update that I had on that particular piece. If anyone else has any questions on that or anything else.
That's excellent. Thank you for tracking all of that.
All right, so that was from earlier this month, the Public Services Director, Eric Clausen, talking with the Nags Head Board of Commissioners at their meeting on December 1st. We did talk with Tim Haas. He is the Ncdot spokesperson for Division 1 about what's going on and what's being done about it, and here's what he had to say. Ncdot recently completed retiming of the signal systems on the Outer Banks. One system runs from the Wright Memorial Bridge through 13th Avenue and Southern Shores. The other runs from Kitty Hawk Road to Sea Chase Drive in Nags Head, and that's where they were talking about the Nags Head portion anyway. Now, Eckner Street and Kitty Hawk actually is not on any of those systems. It has its own controller there at the intersection, and that one seems to be a troublesome one, especially for Jody on his way in to do the show on Beach 104. It seems to catch him just about every day, and it's caught me more than once at 5 a.m. trying to get down to the station. All right, so the work was done by an engineering firm under contract through the Systems Timing Group in Raleigh. It's typically done every 5 years or so when traffic patterns or volumes have changed significantly, and there are other plans for peak summer season traffic as well as all-season traffic. The traffic signal equipment and software currently used in Currituck and Dare counties, as well as the rest of Division 1, is about 20 years old. Since its installation, there have been quite a few advances in traffic signal technology, primarily in controller hardware and software. Those advances bring more flexibility in timing plans, advances in fault identification and notification, enhanced communication, and traffic data collection. Ncdot compiled an estimate to upgrade Currituck and Dare County signals with a project like this one currently under construction in Elizabeth City. That'll include new signals, wiring cabinets with controllers, fiber optic interconnect cables, and other stuff. The initial estimate was around $10 million. As an interim measure, they've requested spot mobility funds to upgrade just the controllers and modems in the cabinets. If funded, the work will be completed by local technicians, and work will bring the communications and controller software up to date. Tim saying that will allow improved coordination along the corridor, and the estimate for that project is around $500,000. So it sounds like some relief is on the way with regards to what's going on with those traffic lights that have been hanging folks up, doing some odd things that DOT is trying to work on the problem, but it's a bigger issue than just trying to, reprogram them and such. They want to try to get things into a more modern state. And it was a great explanation there from at the Mayor Clausen, and you heard Mayor Ben Cahoon bring up a good point. We all thought, hey, they were working with some of the latest technology. They had the signals were controlled remotely from Raleigh and things like that, and really that it's not quite as advanced as we thought, and that things do have to be done on a more local basis, and the upgrades need to be done and are being planned, and they just got to get the money for them. We've got all the details about that at obxtoday.com, so you can swing by there and check that out. It's OBX Today Live here on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Sam Walker. Glad to have you with us. Hey, make sure you stop by the 99.1 The Sound Facebook page today at 10. That's when the drawing for the fundraiser has been going on all fall for the OBX Martial Arts Travel Competition teams taking place. They're giving away a brand new 125cc ATV, a surfboard, a $200 gift card, and a $100 gift card. Tickets still available if you want to try to sneak in a last-minute online buy. You can swing by OBX Martial Arts Facebook page and get details. Like I said, the drawing is at 10 o'clock today. The competition team at OBX Martial Arts brought in huge records of wins and medals this year and help support them in the upcoming year with all their travel expenses and competitions. You can also call Rick Bateman if you'd like to help out even beyond the raffle. They really appreciate it. We've had Rick here on the show before to talk about it. You can give them a call at 455-3368. But swing by the 99.1 The Sound Facebook page at 10 o'clock today. Our very own Lisa Brickhouse, she's going to be doing the drawing today with the folks out at OBX Martial Arts for their giveaway that's taking place today. Another story we updated on Friday at obxtoday.com, a little more detail about the purchase of the Weeping Radish Brewery by Sumit Gupta of Saga Realty and Construction. It's closed on the purchase last week. Uli Benowitz, who's the founder of the Weeping Radish, the first microbrewery in North Carolina, is actually going to stay on as a minority partner. Gupta said he's thrilled to help preserve what he referred to as so much more than a place to eat and drink, calling the Weeping Radish a touchstone for the community and a second home for so many of us. Saga, which many know as the builder and developer of luxury beach houses and real estate developments along the Outer Banks, has been expanding into other business ventures such as restaurants in recent years. Gupta acknowledging it's not every day a real estate developer acquires a microbrewery, but he and his partners leapt the opportunity when they first learned the Weeping Radish was up for sale. He said that it was really a no-brainer for them and praised Uli for his being a visionary and legend in the industry, and to see his brewery restaurant still going strong after 4 decades is so deeply inspiring. And they're honored to announce that Uli will be continuing on as a minority partner, and that they want to extend the success of the Weeping Radish and to build upon it, setting up for the next 4 decades and beyond. A refresh and expansion of the space in Grandy has been tentatively set for sometime next year, with the Optimum Group of Fairfax Station, Virginia, joining the Weeping Radish team in the effort. One of the premier hospitality firms on the East Coast, with consultants spanning a range of fields, Optima has been for 4 decades in the industry as an unmatched passion for working with independent, locally owned restaurants, according to a statement from Saga. Among the changes you'll see moving forward is a greatly expanded brewery, a larger array of locally pastured meats, and a new beer garden, including covered tables for outdoor dining. And also, they're going to expand Uli's farm-to-table vision to an ocean-to-table vision. That's pretty interesting to hear. So we'll see what happens. Looks like Uli says they're going to stay open to the end of the year. He's going to be running it. And then they will be transferring ownership over to Saga. And then looks like they're going to close for the beginning of the year, do some renovations and such. And we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, it's not hard for us to do. It's only 15 minutes down the road. But that's good news about the Weeping Radish. There's a lot of people concerned about what the sale meant. But things do look like very positive with regards to the Weeping Radish. All right, take a break. Be back here on OBX Today Live here on Facebook and YouTube. Stay right there.
For over 15 years, Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated has been a beacon of light, guiding local families through difficult times. Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated proudly provides all families with compassionate choices for professional funeral care at reasonable prices. Get the answers you need 24 hours a day. No answering services, hidden costs, add-on fees, confusing fine print, or those scary-looking contracts. Remember, Gallup Funeral Services owns and operates the only crematory in Dare County, keeping our cremations affordable and convenient. Gallup Memorial Chapel in Bargo, North Carolina is now open and minutes from Moyock and Elizabeth City. From traditional church services and graveside burials to direct cremations and advanced planning, let Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated light the way for your family. Don't be pressured or confused by the other funeral homes. It's always your choice. Choose Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated. Call Courtney at 252-216-8030 to get a plan started today and visit our new website at gallupfuneralservices.com.
The graveyard of the Atlantic kind of has loose boundaries, but it's a geographic area where there are significant shipwrecks that occurred. People don't always understand the importance of the maritime history off North Carolina. There's over 2,000 shipwrecks off the Outer Banks alone. And there are over 5,000 shipwrecks off North Carolina. We consider the boundaries to be between Currituck and Bogue Banks.
Shoals are a challenge for navigation. These shallow areas typically near a coastline, and it's sort of like a submerged dune, a dune field. Along the Outer Banks, we've got several different shoals, shoal systems, if you will. Platte Shoals, Wimble Shoals, Kinnickinnick Shoals, and sort of the pinnacle of it all is Diamond Shoals right off of Cape Hatteras. Very little actually is stationary off of our coast, and so these things are in constant motion through time. Shelley Island was essentially a subaerial portion of the shoal. In other words, it breached the surface. During 2017, we had southwest winds, which likely led to a lot of confluence of those currents. And you could see that shoal forming slowly throughout the winter. It just goes to show that it's a living shoal. We talk about Jockey's Ridge as a living dune. These shoals are no different. They're constantly moving because of currents and waves. So these are a challenge for navigation. You go from fairly deep water to less than 10 feet of water pretty quick along these shoals. And so ships like the Ocean Pursuit didn't quite make it through the inlet and fell prey to the shifting shoals.
The graveyard of the Atlantic refers to the waters off of, more specifically, Hatteras and Ocracoke, and it is the resting place of well over 2,000 ships and thousands of people, spanning a period of 400 years. I would say the shoals make it one of the most dangerous elements of sailing off the coast here. Now add piracy, warfare, and catastrophic weather, and you've got a pretty miserable combination. USS Huron was the last iron-hulled sailing vessel commissioned by the Navy. It had the most recent appointments, weapon systems, everything else. It was traveling through here and was caught in a disastrous storm. Ran on the shoals, but there was no life-saving stations open. And 90 officers and men perished on that wreck. It caused such public outrage. And they were so close to shore, they could have been rescued. And Congress was forced to recognize that this is a real problem, and that's when they started establishing the life-saving service in 1878. The Monitor was never designed as an ocean-going vessel. It really was designed as a riverine vessel. It was being towed to Beaufort, South Carolina. They get hit by a nor'easter. The Navy had been told, do not jack up the turret. They didn't listen. They jacked it up. It changed the center of balance. Then on top of that, the anchor well was such that it came up into the ship. So every time it came up on a wave and came down, it was a geyser of water was coming up to the anchor well. So pretty soon, the men in the Monitor are up to over their knees in ice water. I mean, this is cold water now. So they start to abandon ship. And they got all but 16 men off the vessel, and they were on their way back to see her, and they were looking for the Red Lantern, and a wave came in, and all of a sudden it simply disappeared. It was gone. It was only found relatively recently in the 1970s. The turret is now up at the Mariners Museum in Newport News, and we'll be having the anchor and a few other artifacts to tell the story of the sinking in this museum. The Graveyard Land Museum is dedicated to the interpretation and the study and the preservation of the shipwrecks that are off North Carolina coast, off of Hatteras and Ocracoke. It's also about the cultural history, the maritime culture, which exists on the Outer Banks. So this was a remarkable place, and this museum is focused and dedicated toward the preservation and the interpretation of that history.
The museum was founded on the backs of the people of Hatteras Island. A group of people got together and they decided that they needed to have a museum because there was an opportunity to bring artifacts here from the Monitor. But, of course, you've got to have a building where you can safely keep artifacts in a climate-controlled area.
The Park Service came to those local citizens and said, look, we didn't get the Monitor, but that's just one ship in a 4-year period. You have thousands of ships over a 400-year period. What do you say we go ahead and we make a museum here focused on that? And the community rallied to that. And I think that's the important thing to keep in mind here. It was a community effort. It was a family effort, recognizing that their maritime heritage and their history was worth saving. And that's important. And that means that people recognize that we are one of the stewards of the history of maritime North Carolina, and more specifically of the Outer Banks, Hatteras and Ocracoke.
The Graveyard of the Atlantic Museum is an experience. You can come here and you're going to find out about amazing things that occurred here on these little slips of sand that most people don't even know about.
For over 15 years, Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated has been a beacon of light, guiding local families through difficult times. Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated proudly provides all families with compassionate choices for professional funeral care at reasonable prices. Get the answers you need 24 hours a day. No answering services, hidden costs, add-on fees, confusing fine print, or those scary-looking contracts. Remember, Gallup Funeral Services owns and operates the only crematory in Dare County, keeping our cremations affordable and convenient. Gallup Memorial Chapel in Bargo, North Carolina is now open and minutes from Moyock and Elizabeth City. From traditional church services and graveside burials to direct cremations and advanced planning, let Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated light the way for your family. Don't be pressured or confused by the other funeral homes. It's always your choice. Choose Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated. Call Courtney at 252-216-8030 to get a plan started today, and visit our new website at gallupfuneralservices.com.
Back on OBX Today Live here on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Sam Walker, presented by Gallup Funeral Services on this Monday, December 20th, last day of fall. Winter begins tomorrow at 10:59 a.m., although we've been in meteorological winter since December 1st, and feels a little bit more like winter out there today than it has last week. All about the details. I've got the details coming up in the OBX Today Weather Center in just a few minutes. Something you might have missed over the weekend, massive fire out in Edgecombe County. QVC has a warehouse, a shipping, a distribution center. It's located along US 64. You might have seen it driving between Tarboro and Rocky Mount, just through the trees there along the highway. And unfortunately, a fire broke out there early Saturday morning, turned into a 5-alarm fire. and pretty much effectively destroyed that entire building. In fact, the fire is still burning out there, according to officials. And sadly, there has been a fatality. Here's more from CBS 17 in Raleigh on that situation.
That a body has been found in the facility.
Authorities in Edgecombe County confirm a body's been found in the QVC distribution center a day after a devastating fire burned through the building. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Maggie Newland.
And I'm Nick Sturdivant. Right now, firefighters from multiple agencies continue to check on the aftermath of this weekend's huge fire at a QVC distribution center in Edgecombe County.
Still no word on what sparked the fire, but here's what we can tell you right now. One person has been found dead in the QVC complex. And while investigators are not saying who that person is, a family member tells us he is Kevon Ricks. CBS 17's Brea Hollingsworth spoke with his family and learns more about their search for answers.
Kevon Ricks' aunt says her nephew went to work at this distribution center on Saturday, and they haven't heard from him since. He'd only been working at the facility for 3 weeks before the fire happened. This evening, the Edgecombe County manager confirms that a body has been found at the facility, a body Ricks' aunt says is his. Kevon Ricks' aunt describes him as a loving father, a great nephew, practically an older brother to her son.
Kevon is our older brother, he knows. Whether it was good or bad, ugly, pretty, Kevon was there for my son.
Saturday, he went to work at this QVC distribution center in Edgemont County. Hours later, a massive fire broke out.
Went out there to go see, but of course they're not letting people in, so I hopped on Facebook, you know, to see pictures or whatever, and I seen his mom say she hadn't talked to him.
So Randolph went to the facility herself.
I was parked, hopped out, talked to the state trooper. I was like, no, one person is, they work third shift. Immediately, let's go, Miss Randolph.
Randolph says the family tried pinging his phone, but he left it in the car that night. Sunday, Randolph says they got the news no family ever wants to hear. Now she's left with a mix of emotions.
Fear. Hurt. Anger. I'm more angry than anything.
Her message to others?
When it comes to the job, think about your safety. Don't always put yourself first.
And Randolph told me Ricks wanted to become a firefighter. She says he was even saving up for classes. She says she won't give up until her family gets answers. In Edgecombe County, Brea Hollingsworth, CBS 17 News.
Thanks, Brea. According to QVC, the company employs close to 2,000 people at that distribution center. They work in 3 shifts. All team members are getting shutdown pay through the end of this month as QVC considers what steps to take going into the new year. The company also has an employee assistance program for its workers.
All right, so that's the latest on that tragic fire out in Edgecombe County between Tarboro and Rocky Mount. We'll keep following that story. There are a number of people actually who make that commute from even Williamston and Edenton. It's a huge employer in the east that has now been lost in that one, tragically, one person dying in that fire. So we'll keep an eye out on that story for you. Governor Roy Cooper will have a COVID-19 briefing today. Kind of a surprise. We got the email yesterday evening with the daily schedule from the governor. 2 o'clock for that briefing. And we'll have the link for you. You can watch it live at obxtoday.com. It comes as the variants, or rather the Omicron variants now detected in at least 45 states, including North Carolina. COVID-19 metrics continue nationally to rise to levels not seen since September, in some cases even as far back as November in some parts of the country of last year. The Omicron is expected to surpass Delta as the dominant variant in the U.S. in the coming weeks. Of course, this comes as millions of people prepare to travel for the holidays. Raleigh-Durham International Airport saying they're gearing up some of their busiest travel days of the year. Between now and January 2nd, they expect 500,000 people to pass through RDU. Again, Governor Cooper and other members of the North Carolina COVID-19 task force are scheduled to address the current situation at 2 o'clock. We'll have that live stream for you at obxtoday.com. We thought last week was going to be the last time we had Dr. Mandy Cohen in that briefing. Looks like that's not the case. One more briefing at least for her term ends at the end of the year. Moderna with some news out this morning saying that preliminary data suggests its half-dose booster shot increased antibody levels against Omicron compared with levels seen when a fully vaccinated person does not receive a booster, and a larger size dose of the booster increases antibody levels even more. Good news for North Carolina state employees with that budget that was signed into law by Governor Cooper last month with that included raises for employees, teachers as well. Most employees working for the state as of December 1st getting a pay raise of 5% over 2 years plus a $1,000 bonus. Those making under $75,000 and working in law enforcement get an additional $500. Bonuses have been prorated for eligible part-time employees and meet eligibility criteria. According to UNC Chapel Hill, bi-week paid employees should have received their bonuses with their paychecks on Friday. Monthly paid employees getting theirs this coming Thursday. That's according to the UNC system. And so taxes be withheld for most employees. 22% is being withheld for federal taxes, and for those subject to North Carolina withholdings, 5.35% rounded up to the next whole dollars being withheld. So those payments are going out now for those state employees getting their bonuses. The teacher bonuses working a little different because the way that the pay is done between the counties and the state. Even though the state does fund it, the counties handle the distributions. So teachers have been getting that, but essentially, the way that we're understanding it is most state employees and teachers are getting some big boost in their paychecks this week. I either got it Friday or they're going to get it this coming Thursday, right before Christmas. It is OBX Today Live on Facebook and YouTube, and more of the show is coming up.
For over 15 years, Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated has been a beacon of light, guiding local families through difficult times. Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated proudly provides all families with compassionate choices for professional funeral care at reasonable prices. Get the answers you need 24 hours a day. No answering services, hidden costs, add-on fees, confusing fine print, or those scary-looking contracts. Remember, Gallup Funeral Services owns and operates the only crematory in Dare County, keeping our cremations affordable and convenient. Gallup Memorial Chapel in Bargo, North Carolina is now open and minutes from Moyock and Elizabeth City. From traditional church services and graveside burials to direct cremations and advanced planning, let Gallup Funeral Services Incorporated light the way for you.
All right, back one final time here on OBX Today Live. Quick look at sports. Got some high school basketball to talk about as the pre-Christmas tournament's going on. A couple of matchups today. Pungo Christian at Faith Christian, Columbia at Pascal Tank, Northside at Madam Mesquite. The First Flight Boys are playing in Peninsula Catholic's tournament this week. They're going to take on Nansman Suffolk this afternoon. Over in Edenton at John A. Holmes High School, they're hosting the Wash House Classic today and tomorrow. Camden, Southwest Edgecombe, and Riverside, and Edenton playing in that one. College football bowl games. Old Dominion's playing for all the pancake houses in Myrtle Beach, or all the golf courses. I'll go with all the golf courses. Against Tulsa, 2:30 kickoff today on ESPN. NFL yesterday, Carolina lost to Buffalo. Panthers now guaranteed a losing season. Green Bay beat Baltimore. New Orleans shut out Tampa Bay in a late game last night. Because of COVID-19, they got a bunch of games moving around. Vegas and Cleveland tonight, along with Minnesota and Chicago. Tomorrow, Washington and Philadelphia, and Seattle and the LA Rams. OBX Today Weather Center forecast. We mentioned before we got a little storm system going to be coming across. Looks like it's going to be we got some weather in the Gulf that's going to make its way across Florida, then kind of merge and move up as we get into tomorrow night and into Wednesday, where rain is likely as this low comes off Florida. It moves right up the Gulf Stream. Typical nor'easter movement, but it's going to be moving so fast, we're not going to have the long-term impact. We're definitely going to get a little bit of nor'easter-like weather Wednesday, kind of like what we had yesterday, but it's not going to be around all that long, so that's a good thing. So today, sunny and 51. Tonight, mostly cloudy, 44. Slight chance of showers tomorrow. Then rain developing late in the afternoon, 59. Rain Tuesday night, 46. Rain on Wednesday, 56. Thursday, sunny and 48. Christmas Eve, sunny and 57. Christmas Day, sunny and 63. Got cloudy, mostly cloudy skies, kind of a mixture of clouds and sun at times. 45 degrees, and that'll do it for OBX Today Live here on Facebook and YouTube. Sponsored by Gallup Funeral Services. I'm Sam Walker. Back with you tomorrow. I'm going to go take care of Waylon. He's not giving Emily. He's being kind of difficult. We'll see you tomorrow here on OBX Today Live. Have a good day, everybody.